Hello everyone, hello again. Late stream today. Uh, as I uh, as I said during the morning stream, I'm interesting to check this time 11 p.m. 11 o'clock in the evening Moscow time, because maybe after this summer I will do live streams at evening times. So let's see how many members of our community will find convenient this timing. Today's stream will be sort of experimental in this regard. Although, dear friends, I have prepared quite a lot of important news on some major developments, and I hope you will find this episode informative and useful. And without further delay, let's start new segment. And as always, dear friends, after new segment, I will be engaged here with the community in the chat. Let's take like 15, 20 minutes, maybe a bit more, to exchange opinions in real time. And so, yes, that's being said, let's start new segment now. And I have breaking news for you. Many members of our community probably already know that today, Russian President Vladimir Putin had a phone conversation with the French President Emmanuel Macron, first time in almost 3 years. So we have obviously reports about it on all Russian media outlets. Let me give you some details about this conversation. So Russian President Vladimir Putin held a phone conversation, first time in almost 3 years, with the French President Emmanuel Macron. This was reported by Kremlin press service in the conversation with his French counterpart. The Russian leader noted that the Ukrainian conflict is a direct consequence of their policies of the Western states. We have a quote from the statement. Putin recalled the Ukrainian conflict is a direct consequence of their policies of the Western countries, which for many years have ignored Russia's security interests, created an anti-Russian foothold in Ukraine, and condoned the violence of rights of the Russian-speaking residents. The Kremlin reports that Russian president, as saying, Western countries, the head of the state noted, are pursuing a policy of prolonging military action, feeding the Kiev regime with their various modern weapons. He also emphasized that their settlements in Ukraine must be comprehensive, eliminate the root causes, and be based on realities on the ground. Putin, the Kremlin notes, confirmed their fundamental approaches to possible agreements, which must be comprehensive and long-term, provide for the elimination of the root causes of the Ukrainian crisis, and be based on new territorial realities. On the conflict, so presidents spoke not just about Ukraine, but also about Middle Eastern crisis. Presidents also discussed the situation in the Middle East in the context of Iran-Israel conflict and U.S. strikes on Iran's facilities. They noted the importance of respecting Iran's right to peaceful nuclear energy and fulfilling its obligations under the Treaty on the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons, including cooperation with the IAEA. Putin and Macron spoke in favor of resolving the crisis around Iran and other conflicts in the region through diplomacy. The leaders spoke in favor of resolving the crisis around the Iranian nuclear program, as well as resolving other contradictions in the Middle East exclusively through political and diplomatic means, the statement said. The leaders of the two countries also agreed to continue contacts for the purpose of possible coordination of positions on their settlements in the Middle East, and also noted the special responsibility of the Russian Federation and France as a permanent members of the UN Security Council in maintaining peace and security. Vladimir Putin and Emmanuel Macron noted the special responsibility of Russia and France as a permanent members of the UN Security Council in maintaining peace and security, including in the Middle East region, as well as the preserving the global nuclear non-proliferation regime. Quote from the statement. says it was agreed to continue contacts for the purpose of possible coordination of positions. The statement also adding the conversation between Vladimir Putin and Emmanuel Macron was substantive. The leaders of Russia and France spoke on the phone for the first time in almost 3 years. And according to reports that I see, the French conversation lasted for about 2 hours. And well, on one hand, we all understand that Ukraine and the Middle Eastern crisis were topics of discussions, but I believe timing of this conversation is not random, and it is connected with the recent escalation between Moscow and Baku, or between Russia and Azerbaijan. And what has started, I remind you, dear friends, that what has started as a criminal investigation in Russia's Yekaterinburg region in early June, in last several days, turned into state-level political crisis between two countries, between Russia and Azerbaijan, and the initiator of their escalation is Azerbaijani side. I reported about it this morning in the first update, and I will give you additional information on that. But one may ask, okay, we can understand why two presidents spoke about Ukrainian crisis, about Iran and the Middle Eastern crisis, but what this conversation has to do with the escalation with Azerbaijan. And well, this is a big topic, dear friends. This is big and very complex, important topic. And let me take a few minutes to sort of share with you my take on the situation. And I believe during the conversation, two presidents, especially French President Macron, paid significant attention to escalation with Azerbaijan, and most likely he sort of asked Moscow for a green light so that France will go ahead with to deal with the Azerbaijani regime. I remind you, dear friends, not all members of our community may be familiar with the very difficult relationships that France has with Azerbaijan, and I will explain as in shortly as much as possible what I'm talking about. First of all, there is a huge and very influential Armenian diaspora in France, which plays a significant role, and France now is actually supplying weapons to Armenia, right after relatively recent military confrontation between Azerbaijan and Armenia. And these are, by the way, countries in Southern Caucasus, former Soviet republics, right? So that's the one factor. Another one is that according to reports, Azerbaijan play some significant role in recent Israeli attacks on Iran. So much so that there are plenty of reports on the internet that Iranians have found fuel tanks that were dropped by planes on the shores of Caspian Sea, and some experts are arguing that those planes most likely take off from Azerbaijan and dropped fuel tanks right before flying over Iran's territory, right? And France has some issues with that, and France is not happy about it. Also, we should keep in mind that France accused Azerbaijan for influencing unrest in French territories overseas, in Oceania, to be more precise. That's another reason for difficult relationships between the countries. Also, let me give you additional one, which is that currently Azerbaijan which is rich with the gas and oil, by the way, has a main partner in the business of energy, BP, British Petroleum, right? And France, which has also interest in energy field, understandably so, and many other countries do. All the countries do, actually. France is definitely not happy about it, and one should keep in mind, by the way, that maybe British royal family, British aristocracy is a main driving force behind globalism, and they are, and France is a part, right? French elites are also part of this globalist movement. There is internal conflict in the West between French elites and British elites that goes back in centuries, right? So I would not speak about that history now too much, but what I want to highlight is that France is competing with the UK in many areas of this world. In North Africa, for example, or at least tries to compete with UK. In North Africa, in the Middle East, and in South Caucasus. And France has a quite strong presence in Armenia, by the way, right? And wants to basically push aside, if possible, and even influence or provoke regime change in Azerbaijan so that they will be able to push out British energy companies, British BP, and well, gain the control over their resources there, right? Caspian resources that Azerbaijan is operating with. Also, in addition, by the way, one should keep in mind that France has historically quite a strong ties with Iran, right? During the revolution, Iran's future supreme leader went to Iran from France, right? He was in France. And the reports are that French elites still are maintaining quite a good relationships with their elites inside Iran. And France was one of the few countries, and still is one of the few countries in the collective West that dares to criticize actions of Israel against Iran and also in the Gaza Strip, right? So I give you quite a number of indicators why France is not happy. And in addition, by the way, let's remember difficult relationships between France and Turkey and Azerbaijani leadership, by the way. Azerbaijani elites are sort of divided on two major groups. One is more focused on Turkey and another one is more focused on Israel. So both these countries have quite a huge influence on Azerbaijan and Azerbaijani policies, right? And well, after presenting these many indicators to explain that France wants to play some role in Southern Caucasus region, France has some issues with Azerbaijan. I guess French elites, while observing escalation between Moscow and Azerbaijan, that was yet again escalated on a state level by Azerbaijani side. I guess French elites thought that, well, this is the time. This is the time to engage with Moscow and basically seek green light to go ahead and take some action against their opponents, let's say, that are in charge of Azerbaijan. And you might ask, well, okay, but what Moscow's position would be in that case? And you know what? I guess Moscow is kind of sick and tired with many neighboring countries that are constantly demanding something from Moscow while not really acting as a friendly or the strategic partner. And you know what? Moscow, during these conversations, maybe Russian president indicated that, maybe, by the way, this is just my guess, maybe he indicated that, you know what, you do you. We will just stand aside and observe, right? And that can be seen by France as an indicator of green light from Moscow to go ahead and take care of Azerbaijani leadership. And also, by the way, if that is the case, I assume Moscow could demand even from France and its potential allies in this endeavor or enterprise to make sure that Georgia is secured and Georgia is not harmed by their actions that might take place either directly in Azerbaijan or between Azerbaijan and Armenia, or maybe both, right? Moscow probably would try to secure Georgia because of the many reasons, and one of those reasons are that lately, as I have reported many times, Moscow and Tbilisi, capital of Georgia, did manage to reach somewhat good working levels, right? And I think both sides would like to further improve the relationships despite the significant obstacles on this path. And so, yes, I think Moscow would demand Georgia's security, and when it comes to Azerbaijan, probably France will go ahead with whatever plans they have there. And one should also keep in mind, by the way, that it's not just France that is not happy with their Azerbaijani leadership and its policies. As you can see, Moscow end up being in a political crisis with Azerbaijan because of the actions of Baku. Also, Armenia, for understandable reasons, have very difficult relationships with Baku. Nothing to be said about Iran, by the way, which is very much unhappy with Azerbaijan, especially because of the because Azerbaijan had become kind of proxy for Turkey and for Israel, right? And I remind you, dear friends, that there is a huge ethnic Azerbaijani, population in Iran, and according to reports that I see, ethnic Azerbaijanis are most religious, most patriotic force there, right? And many leaders of Iran, including religious leaders, by the way, are ethnic Azerbaijanis, and they are not happy with the regime in Baku that prefers to have relationships with Turkey and Israel instead of cooperating with Iran. And also, I remind you that both countries, by the way, Iran and Azerbaijan, are predominantly Shiite Muslim countries, right? So very significant developments to be expected in the Southern Caucasus region, in Azerbaijan to be more precise, and in regards to Azerbaijan. And I'm quite sure, by the way, timing of today's phone conversation between French President Macron and Russian President Putin is absolutely not random. And I believe they discuss Ukraine, of course. They discuss recent US-Israeli war on Iran. But probably they devote quite significant time of these 2 hours that conversation lasted to situation in regards to Azerbaijan, right? So I think Aliyev, president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, and his inner circle are quite nervous this evening when they receive information that Macron had conversation with Putin, because they probably think in the same way that France asked for a green light from Moscow to get engaged with that regime in Baku, and most likely they received this green light. Let's see how will situation develop, but something serious is definitely in the preparations. That being said, dear friends, let me also share with you information in regards to this escalation between Moscow and Baku, between Russia and Azerbaijan, that yet again was provoked by Azerbaijan itself, because, as I said, what has started as a criminal investigation of Russian law enforcement officers in Yekaterinburg city quickly turned, and investigation was about criminal activity of the ethnic criminal gang in Yekaterinburg that happened to be Azerbaijani descent. But leadership of Azerbaijan, Republic of Azerbaijan, chose to talk this situation, to politicize this situation, and to escalate with Moscow on unprecedented scale, which is crazy if you think about. And even though Azerbaijani ambassador was summoned by Russian Foreign Ministry due to actions of Azerbaijan yesterday, when Sputnik, Azerbaijan media outlet that is connected with Russian Sputnik news agency, was raided by Azerbaijan law enforcement agencies, despite statements from Moscow that and the Kremlin, by the way, that Russia would like to see de-escalation of the situation, because Russia is not seeking politicization of this process. Well, Azerbaijani side did not really listen and further escalated today. I give you details on that. But first, there's this news that Azerbaijani ambassador receives note demanding release of Russian journalists. I remind you, dear friends, that yesterday Azerbaijani law enforcement agencies raided Sputnik Azerbaijan media outlet and arrested a number of journalists with some crazy fake allegations. So verbal note was handed to Azerbaijan's ambassador to Moscow, Raham Mustafayev, demanding the immediate release of Russian journalists detained in Baku. This was stated in a statement by the Russian Foreign Ministry. And you think Baku listened to this warning or the demand of Moscow? No, they didn't. They absolutely didn't pay attention to it. And today, for example, 7 Sputnik Azerbaijan employees were detained, right, by Azerbaijani court. So Azerbaijani law enforcement officers detained 7 employees of Sputnik Azerbaijan, including editorial director Igor Kartavych and editor-in-chief Evgeny Belousov. The Russia Сегодня media group reported. Media group press service reported also that arrests took place day before, emphasizing that it was connected with the trumped up charges, or basically fake charges, by the way, absolutely fake charges. As I already said, head and editor-in-chief of Sputnik Azerbaijan was arrested, among other personnel of Sputnik Azerbaijan media outlets. And today, you think what Baku did, in addition, on top of that, they published video of humiliation of these arrested Russian citizens. Let me show you a video, by the way, and you will see what am I talking about. This is clearly intentional escalation on part of Azerbaijan, for sure. Just look at this video about it. Dramatic sound on the video. Just look at this. They made a movie basically humiliating Russian citizens, staff of media outlet, accusing them being a criminal gang, and there are all sorts of BS allegations, by the way. I would not even go into details because it's just a mockery of the justice that Azerbaijani law enforcement agencies are committing, for sure. And I want to also share with you these images, by the way, of the arrested individuals. Just take a look at these pictures, by the way, and you tell me if this is normal. And these are, by the way, as far as I can tell, staff of media outlet, journalists, right? Journalists, technical personnel, editor-in-chief of media outlet, and so on. Just look at these pictures. You see the faces of these people? They've been arrested and then tortured, basically, by Azerbaijani so-called law enforcement officers. Look at this. All of them being beaten, by the way, and tortured. All of them. It's a crime. What Azerbaijani so-called law enforcement agencies are doing and did is a crime. So obviously, Moscow is not happy with these developments, and now you can see why would Moscow greenlight for France and whoever will support France to take action against the regime in Baku, in Azerbaijan, because this regime is definitely becoming a risk for the regional security for sure. 100%, right? There can be no doubts about that. So let's continue on the news, dear friends. So that's what they did. That's what they did. And while Macron called and spoke with the Russian president, you guess with whom Azerbaijani president had a discussion. I guess your thoughts are right, with Zelensky. So the head of the Kiev regime, Vladimir Zelensky, discussed with the president of Azerbaijan today, with Ilham Aliyev, support for the territorial integrity of the Ukraine and the situation around the relations between Baku and Moscow. And by the way, Zelensky thanked Azerbaijan for all the assistance that this Western-backed terrorist regime in Kiev is receiving from Azerbaijan. He openly thanked Baku for that. Baku that was pretending to be neutral, while in reality was not. So therefore, you know what? If France or any other country wants to do some stuff with this enhanced regime in Azerbaijan, let them go ahead and do it. No one gonna cry about these criminals that are in charge there in Baku. That's for sure. Not me, 100%. I mean, I can tell you that. And when it comes to future relationships between Moscow and Baku, I think Ilham Aliyev, Azerbaijani president, and his inner circle destroy relationships with Moscow for so much so that these relationships cannot be restored until there is a regime change in Azerbaijan. I don't think Russian president will, after these actions, or these criminal actions of the Azerbaijani side in regards to Russian citizens, after this theatrical political escalation relationships with Russia on a political level, I don't think Russian president will have any intention to speak with Ilham Aliyev or to de-escalate anything. Probably he is just really sick and tired of these quasi-dictators or wannabe dictator elements in former Soviet republics that are acting if they are some sort of center of the universe, while they are not. So I think, well, Aliyev is finished, by the way. And soon, in relatively short time, probably we're going to see very significant changes in the Southern Caucasus region. And let me show you on the map, by the way, area that I'm talking about. So this is Southern Caucasus, by the way. There is Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and two breakaway regions from Georgia. From Georgian side, breakaway regions. From Russian side, new republics, South Ossetia and Abkhazia, because Russia, after 2008 conflict that at the time Georgian President Mikhail Saakashvili provoked, Russia recognized independence of these republics, right? So this is Southern Caucasus, by the way. Azerbaijan is bordering, obviously, with Russia, Georgia, Armenia, Turkey, because there is a Nakhichevan autonomous region that is isolated from Azerbaijan and borders with Turkey and Iran. And so, and also very important stuff is that Azerbaijan is located on shores of Caspian Sea, right? And they're very rich with their energy resources. So there we go. Something big is going to happen in Southern Caucasus, definitely in upcoming maybe months. And I think if French president was asking for a green light from Moscow, he probably received such a green light, at least indirectly. And my hope is that Moscow will demand Georgia to be secured. Because yet again, I mean, relationships between Russia and Georgia are improving. Under current leadership of Georgia, people from Georgia and Russia are traveling to each other's countries. Economical relationships are becoming better and better. So Russia has every incentive to, secure these good relationships and their prospects of further improving the ties with Tbilisi, right? So this is the situation, by the way. This is the situation. Share your opinion, what you think about all these developments. But I have some more news to give you this evening. And as I reported this morning, dear friends, Kiev regime, with assistance of NATO member states, first of all, UK, launched a relatively large-scale drone attack on the Russian Federation. About 60 drones of Kiev regime were intercepted, but unfortunately, some drones did manage to bypass our defense systems and struck city of Izhevsk industrial area in this city. And as a result of this strike, there are casualties, according to reports. Then number of victims as a result of drone attack on enterprise in Izhevsk, Udmurtia region, exceeded 4 dozen. That is the latest report. The head of Udmurtia, Alexander Brichalov, reported, we have a quote from him, there are 45 injured people in total, 3 dead. There are 35 people in city hospitals, 6 of whom are still in serious condition. The rest were treated on an outpatient basis in a temporary accommodation centers and at the scene of the incident, he wrote on his Telegram channel. So casualties, by the way, additional casualties among Russian civilians due to terrorist activity of NATO and their NATO proxy Kiev regime against us. There will be some retaliatory steps taken by Moscow. I'm sure about it. Definitely against Kiev regime. I don't know when and how Russia will retaliate against NATO member states that are engaged directly in these terror attacks on Russia. But I guess at one point Russia will retaliate directly or indirectly on those NATO members too. As one say goes, revenge is a dish that has to be served cold, right? So everything has its time. RIA Novosti is reporting meanwhile, and I also spoke about it this morning, but in case you are new to this channel, I will repeat that Russian military has completely liberated the territory of LPR, Lugansk People's Republic, and continue their progress. Russian armed forces improving their positions on line of contact on daily basis, and literally every day we are receiving information about further progress of the Russian armed forces, about more and more settlements being liberated. Even though if you take a look at the Western propaganda means, by the way, you would not think that. isn't it? Because according to Western propaganda, there is a stalemate and no movement is happening on line of contact, which is a lie. But yet again, unfortunately, Western propaganda has huge influence on the public, especially in collective West, and majority of societies there, as in my opinion, are influenced by this propaganda. But in reality, Russian armed forces moving forward and accelerating this movement. Also interesting news from Vzгляд newspaper that Russian paratroopers captured a Leopard 2A6 tanker with full munition. Lately, probably you notice, and I'm also reporting about it, that quite often Russian militaries are capturing almost intact or completely intact armored vehicles of the NATO member states or from NATO member states. Swedish, I remember, probably you too, when Russian troops hijacked sort of Russian DRG, by the way, Russian military intelligence officers penetrated enemy lines and hijacked a Striker infantry fighting vehicle. I believe there is video, isn't it, on internet, and I shared that video during one of my programs. Also, probably you remember, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I reported that Russian troops also hijacked Swedish-made SV-90 infantry fighting vehicle, intact, by the way, absolutely intact. And now this report that Russian paratroopers captured the Leopard 2A6 tanker, but in this case, this tank was damaged initially by FPV drone, immobilized, and then Russian paratroopers went in and took control over the vehicle, repair it, and took it as a trophy. And you know what? More this type of news is being published, reported by media, more I think that maybe situation for in Kiev regime forces are changing so dramatically that Kiev regime's troops themselves may be offering for maybe money or safe surrender their military vehicles and whatever equipment they have, because this type of reports are coming in more and more often, right? When multi-million-dollar military equipment was captured by Russian troops, literally, in many cases, with any damage whatsoever. Interesting, isn't it? I guess this Leopard 2A6 soon will end up somewhere in military museum here in Russia. Also, dear friends, interesting news this evening that Ornik missile systems to be deployed in Belarus by end of the year. President of Belarus, Lukashenko, stated about it. And well, let me remind you, dear friends, if I may, what this missile system is capable of. It was demonstrated just once until now. And well, that's the... I mean, let's take a look at this system, by the way. And that's what it does. Some crazy stuff, isn't it? Like from Star Wars or something. This is a medium-range hypersonic missile system that has allegedly multiple warheads, right? It can be in a nuclear configuration or non-nuclear configuration. And well, on your screen, you just see what this weapon system is capable of. It can penetrate any fortification because due to its tremendous speed and accuracy. And this system soon to be deployed into Belarus, which will, of course, significantly enhance defense and offensive capabilities of Belarus and the Russian Federation. I believe these weapon systems will still be controlled by Russian troops. they just will be deployed in Belarus, but Russian militaries will maintain the control over their system and will use if Belarus is attacked by any of the hostile countries from NATO. So I think this is an important development, and I think NATO headquarters is paying attention to these developments because from Belarus, let's say, this medium-range hypersonic missile system, and by medium range I mean 4,000-5,000 kilometers, allegedly, that this system has in range. Well, these capabilities are well enough to strike literally any point, anywhere on territory of European NATO member states. So obviously, NATO headquarters in Brussels and the capitals of the NATO member states probably are paying great deal of attention to this development. And well, when it comes to NATO, by the way, as you all know, Trump demanded NATO countries to increase their military spendings up to 5%, isn't it? And many countries, even though are afraid to oppose this push from Washington, many countries are looking for ways to kind of, fool their NATO leadership and leadership of US, while promising that they will increase spendings on military up to 5%. Some countries actually are demonstrating that they have balls to openly oppose this madness. For example, Spanish leadership surprisingly said that they are against it, right? They cannot afford it. But Italy's leadership went in a different direction. And we have this report that Rome could classify $13.5 billion bridge as a NATO spending, right? Originally, this was reported by Politico. So Italian authorities are looking to classify a long-term project to construct a bridge connecting their mainland to the island of Sicily as a NATO expenditure, aiming their struggle to meet the bloc's spending goals, according to Politico. Decision on that not yet been made, but well, Italy's leadership may well go ahead and say that, this is a crucial infrastructure, military infrastructure for NATO's capabilities, this bridge, and therefore, we should count this 13.5 billion as increased military spending, and if this will play okay, then other NATO countries probably will follow, and they will start designating all kind of civilian infrastructure as to be as a military spending, right? Because theoretically speaking, yes, you can justify it, isn't it? I mean, we did build the road here, and this road now are used by civilians, but if anything happens, then militaries can also use, right? So it's kind of double purpose stuff. So therefore, why should not we count it as a military spending? And this kind of logic can work literally on anything, isn't it? This way, NATO countries might actually try to fool NATO leadership, fool US leadership that is demanding increase of their military spendings. Different thing is if Washington will buy all this stuff. I mean, they will say, "Are you kidding me? Buy weapons from us and do it now." Right? We don't care about your bridges and roads and the rest of it. Just buy our weapons. That's all they care, probably. And to continue, dear friends, quite a few news left. Although I think it's worth noticing that, especially for possible new members of community, that if you like what you see, by the way, on my channel, sir, and if you like to see possible further development of this independent media project from Russia, please consider to support her. You can support my work through several means, through PayPal platform, Boosty platform, by subscribing to my Patreon page or page on Boosty through crypto. And also during the streams, because my channel is monetized on Rumble, you can use Rumble platform and super chat feature to donate. And also you can become a premium member on Rumble. All the addresses are under this video in the description box, and after the stream I will also pin the comment with the links, right? So yes, that's being said, dear friends. Let me continue now, and well, I want to share with you this video of Israeli air defense interception of Yemeni of the missile that was launched by Ansar Allah movement or Houthi rebels in direction of Israel. And let me show you a moment of interception. It's a quite impressive image, by the way. That's for sure. So this is the video.
וואו! וואי. הנה, נראה לי הוא ממשיך, הטיל ממשיך, תראי.
This Yemeni missile was intercepted in upper atmosphere during the entry of the warhead. During the entry, let's say, of the warhead. Quite a spectacle there. Israel still has interceptors to do this kind of stuff, and the Yemeni Ansar Allah movement, by the way, or Houthi rebels, still have weapon systems to launch strikes on either Israel or their vessels in the Red Sea, Arabian Sea, that they consider to be legit target, right? And on topic of Middle East, dear friends, I will continue with this report that ambassador of US in Israel, Huckabee, casually floats the idea of B-2 bombers striking now on Yemeni Houthis. He wrote after this interception of the Yemeni missile, he wrote on Twitter X, I believe, and I will give you quotes from him. We thought we were done with the missiles coming to Israel, but Houthis just light one up over us in Israel. Fortunately, Israel's incredible interception system means we go to their shelter and wait until all clear. Maybe those B-2 bombers need to visit Yemen. Huckabee is writing, and maybe he is just expressing his personal opinion, although he is ambassador of US, or maybe this is a part of their plan, by the way. Maybe this is a part of their plan of further escalation in the Middle East. And who knows, maybe in upcoming days, US will begin strikes on Yemeni Houthis again, and will repeat what already was done. Months or two strikes, then when US militaries will run out of munition, they will take a break and then resume again. But in any case, when it comes to Middle East, I think there is an extremely high risk that globalists and their allies among American neocons and also Zionists and the Israeli regime will try at least to further escalate in the region and to provoke a regional war, including provocation of the conflict between Iran and their neighboring countries, or between Iran and their Persian Gulf kingdoms, let's say. I spoke many times before, why would globalists and their neocons would like to and plan to, in my opinion, to provoke regional war in the Middle East. I wouldn't repeat myself now again. I think I have strong arguments on that term. But anyways, Iran is in still makes headlines. Obviously, topic of Iran's nuclear program, and we have statements from Trump in regards to Iran's leadership. When he is saying basically that we'll get whatever we want from Iran. That's what he's saying. And let's listen to his statement. That would be better, I guess. So I have a video of that somewhere. That's it.
I will tell you, he's coming here next week. He wants to end it too. We had a tremendous success with Iran. They won't have me. Somebody said, when are you going to sign? I said, sign? They are so bombed out. Did you see the report issued this morning? The place was decimated. It'll be years before anybody even gets down there. So that's not a priority, but we'll have a report and we'll have whatever we want. We'll get whatever we want from Iran. And I think, and I hope they want to have a good country. You know, they have massive sanctions right now, biting sanctions. It's going to be very hard for them to do anything with those sanctions. And I look forward to maybe there'll be a time when we get along with them and they can rebuild their country.
Is there a point where you tell Netanyahu, like, you gotta end this now, you gotta strike a deal?
Well, he wants to. I can tell you he wants to, and I think we'll have it. I think we'll have a deal next week. That's what I think.
So that's what Trump is saying, by the way. But this morning I shared with you statements of Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, who is not so optimistic and definitely is not confirming that Iran will agree on anything that Trump or US will demand. Let's listen to Abbas Araghchi's statement.
Has said that talks with your government could restart as early as this week. Will that happen?
I don't think negotiations will restart as quickly as that. In order for us to decide to re-engage, we will have to first ensure that America will not revert back to targeting us in a military attack during the negotiations. And I think with all these considerations, we still need more time.
Still, the door is not entirely closed to direct talks with the U.S.
The doors of diplomacy will never slam shut.
So obviously, Iranian diplomat will say that door for diplomacy is always open. Nothing else to be expected from a high-level diplomat, understandably so. But main point of Araghchi's statement here is that there is a huge issue of trust, right? And for a reason, and I think not just the Iranian leadership, but leadership of any country in this world will find it extremely difficult to be engaged in talks, in negotiations with either US leadership or the leadership of any other country from the collective West for obvious reasons. They are lying. No one can have any true belief that during the conversation, during the talks with the representatives of the collective West countries, opposite side would not use either negotiations as a deception or the attempt to fool you, or the promises, or so therefore trust is absence of the trust is obviously a big issue, and world gonna struggle with this. World gonna deal with this situation when we have reached a point when literally nobody from the collective leadership can be trusted. Just nobody, which is very unfortunate, by the way, isn't it? And very dangerous because, without diplomacy, where are we gonna end up? Right? There is a huge risks that are connected with that whole situation, isn't it? But yet again, this was done by Western leadership itself. They made it impossible to believe them. I remind you that before Israel attacked Iran, US was engaged in nuclear talks with the Iranian leadership, isn't it? And after Israeli attack, news broke, and after US attacks, and many media outlets reported that Trump and his special envoy Witkoff, while being engaged, they were using basically these talks with the Iranian side as deception, to cut them off guard of incoming Israeli attack. And they knew from the beginning that Israel was planning to attack Iran, and they knew perfectly well when and how Israel would attack. Right? So when US president himself is engaged in a deception, then I guess that's it, you know. There can be no good argument. Why should anybody trust any representative of the current leadership of the West or the Western elites? Am I correct, dear friends? Also, I want to share with you a few more news, dear friends. So, US Senate passes the tax and the spending bill, the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. US Senate has approved President Donald Trump's spending and tax bill, known as a Big Beautiful Bill. The vote was evenly divided, with half their senators voting for and half against. Their deciding vote was cast by the Vice President J.D. Vance, who is constitutionally allowed to vote in such cases. And yes, this is true, by the way. I can give you this short video of the statement that of the results of the vote that Vance is sharing.
There are 50. The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
So, yes, Vance decided. His vote was a decisive one. And the first step to adopt this bill is passed. I believe Congress also have to vote about it, isn't it? No one should have any doubts that eventually this bill will be adopted. Hardly that many people in conservative wing of either Congress or the Senate will dare to oppose Trump at this point. I mean, few might, and they did in the Senate, but majority will vote as they are ordered, isn't it? Also, a few more news, dear friends. Hostilities between the Trump and Elon Musk are accelerating, as I reported this morning. And now we have this report that US President Donald Trump has stated that he might entertain the idea of deporting Elon Musk and could consider getting the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, to look into the billionaires' government contracts. And so, yes, I said many times before, by the way, even when Elon Musk was part of Trump's team, that probably he will, even before inauguration of Trump, by the way, veterans of our community will confirm, I was saying that Elon Musk wouldn't stay in Trump's inner circle for a long time. He would not stay in a DOGE for a long time, because Elon Musk was very clear. He wanted significant cuts to be made in federal spendings, but exactly opposite had happened. And as I was predicting, Trump further increased spending. With this big beautiful bill, he is asking for debt ceiling to be increased by $5 trillion, by the way. By $5 trillion, biggest increase ever in U.S. history, right? And Pentagon's budget alone will surpass $1 trillion for 2026. And there was enough indicators to make such prediction as I did in regards to Elon Musk. And I knew he was he will leave Trump's inner circle, and he did, right? And I was also saying that he is risking with everything, including with his life, while opposing deep state somewhat, right? And if he is not careful enough, then he might find out hard way what is happening with the people that are deep state will consider as a potential threat, not even a immediate threat, but potential threat. And Musk is right there at this point. So better he leave US, by the way, while he can, if he can, right? Because he's on a very dangerous path. And by the way, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I'm acknowledging achievements of his and his businesses, in many cases, in many ways, revolutionary businesses, right? But same time, I'm also, same time, I cannot get rid of the thought that without being a part of some extremely influential forces or groups in this world, he would not be able to become the successful and richest human being on the planet, right? So therefore, I struggle with the idea that he's acting alone, right? Most likely there are very significant, very serious influential forces behind him, but nevertheless, he might be considered by US deep state as a potential threat, and that means he is in extreme danger. I mean, I was correct in many predictions in regards to Trump, Musk, this tandem, and I think I'm correct now too when I'm saying that either Elon Musk will get out of US immediately, or probably he will lose literally everything, including his life. And a few more news, dear friends. Russia has handed over the newest project 11356 stealth frigate to Tamal to the Indian Navy. Contract for the for four vessels of this project between Russia and India was signed in 2018, and also additional information on Indian Navy is already operating with 6 frigates of this project. So I guess Indian militaries are happy with this vessel, with its capabilities, and obviously every new vessel is significantly updated than previous ones. So these new projects gonna be much more capable than these 6 vessels that India already has in its inventory. Let me show you some video of the ceremony that was held.
Fortress. Tamal's BrahMos missiles enable
and I want to show you, by the way, how these vessels look. So, for example, that's the vessel itself. That's not this newest one, but that's the project that looks, by the way. And 6 this type of vessels India already has, as I already said, and there are another 4 will join Indian Navy with their enhanced capabilities. In video, there was a moment when commentator was mentioning BrahMos missiles, and this is a missile systems that are produced by Russian and their Indian military industrial complex together with cooperation. Extremely capable missiles, by the way, and obviously if those missiles are adapted to this vessel, then that will significantly increase range and the capabilities of these frigates. And One more news for this news segment, dear friends, that I want to share this evening, which is also about India. So, India is expected to become a net exporter of energy within the next 6 to 7 years. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari has stated the South Asian nation is heavily dependent on imports for energy. In 2024-2025 financial year, it imported 88% of its crude oil and 51% of its gas consumption, according to the Economic Times. Today, we have quote, today we are the importer of energy, but within 6 to 7 years, we will be exporter, Gadkari said recently at the event hosted by the Times of India news outlet. And good luck with that. I mean, India is a strategical partner of the Russian Federation, major superpower in this world, and obviously, I would like to see success of India as much as possible. By the way, as many Russians do, majority of Russians. Actually, we all see India as a friendly nation, and this is not gonna change. All right. So good luck to India. I mean, maybe this forecast is, too optimistic. Maybe that by 2030 India will become a net exporter of energy, but at least our country has an aim, and if they are focused strongly enough on this matter, hopefully they will manage to gain full independence when it comes to energy sector. And this is it for a news segment, dear friends. I hope you did find this episode informative and useful. Was there any super chat? Okay, there was no super chat, by the way, on Rumble, but there was a donation through PayPal from Nathan. Thank you very much, Nathan, for your support. Truly grateful. Thank you very much. And a comment also, a gift for the friend. Thank you very much, Nathan. I appreciate your support. Thank you. There was one super chat during the morning's live stream from Blorp, and this is second donation that project received today from you, Nathan, during the second news update. So thank you very much. Without your assistance, dear friends, this project would not exist. I would not be able to be focused full time on this work. So thank you. And dear friends, before I end the stream, let's have a little chat. Banzo Beans, thank you. Third donation, by the way, super chatter on Rumble. Say hi to their dual dissidents audience. Our chat has transferred to. Hello to their audience of dual dissidents. Hello, everyone. And dear friends, let me check chat now, and let's have exchange of opinions for 10-15 minutes. And Nidish Kumar is asking Levan, have you seen Indian Navy Tamal frigate video? Yes, I have seen, and yes, you know it now. You master, it's a tribute to India-Russia defense cooperation, last warship we ever import. Yes. I mean, I'm happy that cooperation between Russian and Indian military-industrial complexes, between Russian and Indian militaries, is on the top level. And you know my reading of the big picture. I think Russia and India should be strategical partners forever, because it is in the national interest, national security interests of the both countries and people of our countries, right? So we are destined to be strategical partners. One look at the geography is enough to understand what am I talking about. Nothing to be said about historically close strategical ties and the partnership between Moscow and Delhi. Also, Nidish Kumar is asking, Levan, let us handle Azerbaijan. We have our eyes on them as they are poking their noses in our territorial issues. I don't think many would be against it, but well, geography. France will take care of the issue, I guess, and quite soon. I'm quite sure, by the way, during today's already yesterday's, by the way, it's 11 past 12 now here in Moscow, so it's already 2nd of July. But yesterday evening's conversation between Putin and Macron, most likely in significant part, was about situation in Southern Caucasus region, escalation between Baku and Moscow, and French elites, by the way, right? French elites are determined. I have every reason to believe that they are very much determined. They're determined to deal with their current regime in Azerbaijan, and all they wanted really is a green light from Moscow. And I think with this latest escalation with Russia, Azerbaijan leadership signed their sentence to themselves. They are sentencing themselves while escalating with Russia. Moscow will have to do nothing, literally, right? Just observe, and I think France and whoever will assist France in this, they will take care of it. That's how I see the situation. And I'm not at all surprised that, based on your information, Azerbaijan, through Turkey, together with Turkey, were interfering in Iran's internal affairs, not in a good way. So I can understand why attitude towards Azerbaijani regime leadership and their policies could be negative in India and critical. So I can see your point there. And dear friends, I think, let me check. Maybe I missed some question. Zaki Hazara is asking, Azerbaijan helped Israel for attacking Iran. Only few people know for sure, 100%, but reports are that drones were launched from Azerbaijan to attack Iran, and also planes were operating from Azerbaijan during Israeli attacks. Once again, fuel tanks of the planes, Israeli planes, were found on the shores of Caspian Sea by Iranians, right? And how they end up there? And one of the logical conclusions is that planes possibly take off from Azerbaijan, and when they were reaching land, they drop the tanks, right? And continue their mission to be more maneuverable. These tanks are needed just to increase range, right? So there are many reasons why Iranian leadership and their experts in the field would assume that Azerbaijan was engaged or was useful for Israel to attack Iran. So there are such reports on the internet. Although, by the way, officially no statements were made. on this matter, and therefore it's hard to know for sure, isn't it? We can just share our opinions on that. And let me check chat for more questions. You see, dear friends, evening live stream, at least today, did not really attract as many members of our community as morning updates do. In the morning, usually during the stream on YouTube, for example, some 200 members are presented on live during the live. Sometimes 300, even 400. Today, we reach 120, 130. Maybe because this is the first late stream on my channel. Maybe I have never before done stream at 11 o'clock in the evening, I believe. But anyways, I was interested to test this timing because after the summer, potentially, I will work daytime, right? I will find some day work, and only time I will have for programs to do live stream is potentially going to be late evening, like 10, 11 o'clock. I'm not sure about it yet. I mean, I cannot see future, isn't it? But in case that's how things will turn out, I wanted to test this late time. And I think for first late live stream, not bad, isn't it? That over 100 members of community joined the stream. So truly grateful, dear friends, to all of you for your attention and support. And I'm meanwhile monitoring. Chat, and Banzo Beans, our moderator, has commented. Please hit the like button and follow the channel. And truly, dear friends, if you are not subscribed, please consider to subscribe and become a member of our community. And please click that like button on either platforms, by the way, on Rumble and YouTube. It might help to reach wider audience that might want to hear and see news from Russia and the commentary from Russian citizen journalists, right? So your comments, your likes, definitely helping in this regard. So please consider what Banzo Beans said. Thank you, John. As always, truly grateful for your help. And I guess this is it. Sorry if I miss your question, dear friends, but I cannot see capital Q or comments with capital letters. Okay. Nidish Kumar said, Levan, the video you showed is not a tribute video. It's on our Indian Navy official YouTube channel. Sorry, Nidish, I have not seen that video. I misinterpreted your commentary. I was thinking you are asking about information itself. If I have seen video of transferring this latest vessel to India. So thank you for correction. And I guess, yes, this is it. Dear friends, once again, thank you all. My apologies if I miss your question, but that's why I'm saying if you can use capital letters or capital Q before the question, that will make it easier to notice it. And thank you all for your attention, for your support. Have a great day. I don't know from which part of this world all the members of our community are, from all over the world, right? So in different parts, it's a different time. So thank you all. Have a good day and take care. See you tomorrow.